All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Just Whelmed Noted, Episode 10, the finale of Just Whelmed. For now, until we get to a point where I don't know what's coming next, because Season 3 is finally coming at the end of the year. So, all right. So in the chat, we've got Joe with his opinions. He's having some technical difficulties, so unfortunately he can't be on camera. But Tom Bennis will be on camera once he gets all energied up and coffeeed and whatnot. But these are a pair of very different episodes. They're each a finale in their own right. But we'll get into that. Like I've been saying for like the last couple episodes, each of these like last 5 or 6 episodes end a storyline that had been going for the entire season, which is something that I actually do enjoy upon rewatch. Is like once you realize like, oh, this is ending this episode, then this is ending this episode, and then it just sort of goes all the way to the end, and I like that. So I'm just going to I'm just going to start on episode 19, Summit. So yeah, we'll talk about that. So episode 19, it's pretty much an episode that all takes place in this one scene where it's a meeting between the Reach and the Light. And what they set out to do is sort of have this like confrontation about where everything is and why the Light didn't let the Reach know about the Beetle temple that they'd used last episode, because that's kind of important to do. I forgot to turn on the light. Hold on, I'll be right back. Yeah, I was like, why does everything look so weird? I'm like, oh, I forgot to turn that light on. There we go. Now things look a bit better. So it's this whole confrontation between them, and it's like, and only like half the Light is there. It's like Black Manta, Deathstroke, Ra's al Ghul, one of his minions, the Brain, I believe, and probably some. Calder's also there, and Tigress. So they all, it's this whole like sort of essentially it's an entire episode of mental chess as opposed to getting real physical, although they do get physical at the end, where it's just this whole thing where it's like tensions are building between the Reach and the Light, and it gets to a point where this is confrontation between Black Manta and Black Beetle, and they just sort of like draw their weapons. They get into this huge conflict, and everything's going down. And it's like they fight to a standoff. Calder stops them, but at the same time, Tigress winds up blocking a laser blast that was about to hit Ra's al Ghul, and he's like, well, thank you. And then he notices the pendant around her neck, which might spell trouble for them. Might. So they all get settled down from that. They continue their discussion up until the point where Ra's al Ghul just sort of walks up to Tigress and rips the pendant off her. Tom Zambino is in the chat now. As also other odd shaped Tom. When you're ready, just message me in the chat. Just let me know when you want to get on here. All right. So copy and paste. And since almost nobody watches this anyway, I'm not gonna have to worry about deleting that at all. So yeah. but yeah, he rips the pendant off, and of course, the face slightly changes, and the hair color changes back to blonde, and everybody's like, "Wait a second, that's Artemis. I thought Calder killed Artemis." But if she's actually pretending to be Calder's lieutenant, that means that Calder is still good, doesn't it? And then they're just like, "Well," and then the Reacher like, "We're going to kill you," and then Deathstroke's like, "No, I killed them." And then they both get shot. And then a holographic projection of Calder starts to play, and then because over the course of this, they're just discussing about the entire plan and trying to get all of the. Ooh, okay, all right. So Tom's getting the issue that other people have been getting on odd shaped panel. Sometimes when we give out the links. All right. So I sent out the email. So the issue that so then Calder's hologram, he's like spelling out how the Reach and the Light have always been, not really trusting each other. How the Reach just think of the Light as their useless pawns, slightly less useless pawns than the rest of the humans, while the Light have just been playing the Reach for chumps the entire time, and also been using their are the ones that have been using their stuff. They've been neutralizing the Reach soft drink, all these things. He's been spelling it out for them, and then they. Then it's like the Reach and the Light go back to arguing with each other, and then someone on the light side reveals that they in fact have the crystal key now. At which point, Calder gets up. He's like, "That's all we needed to know. Thanks." And then everybody's like, "Wait, what? Wait, what's going on?" And then Artemis gets up, and it's like, "Yeah," it's like, "Yeah, we're fine. Don't worry about it." But they're like, "But Deathstroke killed you," and they're like, "Yeah, but only briefly. But I wouldn't want to kill." And then she morphs into McGann, my best friend. So McGann had been posing as Deathstroke this entire time, which is fantastic. And okay, hold on. Yeah. Let me try something else here, Tom. Here, I tried something different. Go for that. It's like, despite seeing this before, I'm amazed how many times they still surprise me during this episode. Yeah, this episode is literally chock full of surprises. Because after it's revealed that that Calder's been playing them all for fools, and they got them. It's like they fake their deaths again. A couple people walk in, and it's like Kid Flash, it's Nightwing, it's Superboy, and they're like, "Hey," and Wally walks in, it's like, "Hey, Vandy, you miss me?" And he's just like, he's being like peak Kid Flash because he needs to be in this instance. Oh, look, Tom's here. Looks like that third option actually worked.
Hey, I'm in here now.
So what I did this time is that instead of adding you on the bottom, I clicked the email icon and sent you an email.
Oh, okay. Noted.
All right. Yeah, literally noted. All right.
So I'm glad I'm back for these episodes. These were good.
Yeah, these are some amazing episodes.
It
But it's
Just to glance over what you've already discussed, and
mm, mhm,
I'm speaking softly because Kimber's still sleeping. Um,
mhm.
so I I uh, I forgot all about the Reach and the Light meetup, but the whole time I was like, well, something's about to go down because I didn't really remember the season,
Mhm.
although I enjoyed it. And man, it was almost Shakespearean. Like it was great. Like the son being playing the dad, and oh man, they did such a good job. But I
Yeah,
think the fight that ensues afterwards, like I was just saying in the chat because I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to get in. I was like, I saw this before, and I was still surprised so many times with like the reveals. Like I was like, okay, why did Deathstroke strike? Um, just shoot them, like that's something weird. And I was like, oh shit, Martian Manhunter or Miss Martian. And then
yeah,
like it kept coming out, and then they call in the backup that Light does.
yeah. They
And
call. I haven't gotten to that part, but they call in backup. Also, Ashley in the chat's like ASMR Tom, and Joe's like Savage's face was so glorious when he realizes what's going on.
yeah, for sure.
It's but it's like the light is like, yeah, we always have a contingency plan, and a whole bunch of ninjas drop down. Unfortunately for them, the team also has a contingency plan for the contingency plan, and about half the ninjas are also members of the team.
Yeah.
So
So again, I was surprised. And
that
then
that was
they do it twice too, because then you're
yeah,
like, all right,
yeah, no,
so
because
these guys are the good guys.
yeah, because they there's two groups of ninjas that reveal themselves to be members of the team. It's like it's just like consistently. I I consider this episode to just be on some parts a better version of old acquaintances, not old acquaintances, of Usual Suspects, and in other aspects a worse, because like it doesn't have like that in Usual Suspects they have that whole back and forth between who might be the traitor and whatnot, and that whole aspect. But in this, it's a more straightforward linear narrative,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, yeah. All right, so Joe wants me to do that. It's, uh,
Email thing.
yeah, email thing.
I would like to say,
Yeah,
I a lot of the villains on the show they get so right, and some of them are total missteps, like the Joker. But
yeah. The Joker is a bit strange in
this
this
is
interpretation.
this has to be my favorite rendition of Black Manta. I love how
Yes, absolutely.
polite Ra's al Ghul is, but I mean,
Yeah.
the '90s animated series is the best Ra's al Ghul.
Hmm.
They did such a good job. Even I think Deathstrike, Stroke. I don't know why I keep calling him Deathstrike. That's weird. Deathstroke. I even think he's better in this than in most depictions, besides Slade from Teen Titans. But that's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
But it's almost like Slade from Teen Titans is almost his own character.
character. I agree.
Yeah, because he's simultaneously is and isn't Deathstroke. You know.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have the. He's more like Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
If Teen Titans had a Doctor Doom, because he
Yeah. That
plays
that
with the
that's
magic aspect, and he.
that's fair. That's fair. So Joe's gonna try to get in the just audio set, which would be super helpful for the final episode. He literally just watched it, and I believe he probably has some opinions.
Uh,
So
I have some opinions too. We'll get
yeah, of
there.
course, we'll get there. We'll get there. But over the course of the fight, Wally and Impulse have this great moment where they're just running and talking and chatting each other up, and they're just like having that. He's like, and then Wally's like, hey, nice outfit. And Joe's in the call now. Hey, Joe.
Is this 1-800 Spice?
And he's still getting his setup done probably, but it's like they're running with each other, and then Wally's like, I always imagined you'd wind up in something a little more yellow and red, and then and then Impulse is like, wait for real? He's like, yeah, after this I'm going back into retirement. You gotta take up the mantle. You gotta continue the family tradition. Which on this episode on itself, it's like, oh yeah, that's a great thing. I endorse that, because then maybe eventually he'll become the Flash, and then he'll be the Flash, and Impulse will be Kid Flash, and that'd be a great setup, like in the comics for about 25 years, or however long Impulse, from the time Impulse was introduced to the time that he died.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of creative writing.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have more to say about that when we're talking about next episode, and obviously once Joe gets his audio working.
I'm so happy the Beetleborg saga is over.
I know you've had some issues with the whole Beetle thing.
I don't know. I don't know. I think the Black Beetle, who is still a tool in this episode, at least he stands up to the lead dude Reach.
Yeah, that is an aspect of this episode, because there we go. All right, because towards the end of the episode, we get to the point where it's it's obvious that the good guys are winning. Ra's al Ghul gets killed by, I believe, Black Beetle, and then it's like, yeah, it's the one character that we can afford to get killed. Is the one that resurrects every other day. So he, it's like he and leave. Vandal Savage, like apparently he's had Clarion in him the entire time. He sends Clarion out. He turns like a sword that McGann had been using into a fire snake, which is like the one thing that you can really use to take on McGann. And then they just boom tube out of there.
Yeah.
And then and it's like, so essentially so like half like the light all leave, but then like well, the light like mostly leaves. The Reach, it's like there's having this whole thing where it's like their Blue Beetle manages to secure them with his blue staples, his iconic weapon, the blue staples. He's the human stapler. It's like if he was red, he'd be a hot topic in Office Space. Also hello cat in the background.
Also, he would definitely work for the logo or the mascot for the Staples office supply store. So
yeah, so it's like they stapled the Reach ambassador and the Reach scientist to the wall. And then Black Beetle walks up. And he's like, "All right, it's time to leave." And then the Reach ambassador is just being a jerk like he always is, and continues to be over the course of the episode. And then Black Beetle's like, "No," and then he lists like certain Reach planet acquisition protocols. Due to this, I'm deeming you unfit to lead this coalition. And then turns to the scientist, is like, "You might still be useful." And then he frees the scientist and just leaves the ambassador.
I just love her, like, in her voice, she's like, appreciated.
Gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude.
which is what they say all the time.
Yeah, I'd argue the scientist is a bigger jerk than the ambassador.
Well, the scientist, everything that the scientist says is correct, though. The ambassador just is ignoring her at every opportunity. It's like,
rub their faces in it, though.
Because no, but there have been multiple times in previous episodes where she says that we need to investigate why this beetle went off mode in the first place. She said it consistently, and then they get set it up, and they get the ultimate thing of that in next episode. But they all clear out. The good guys get a victory, even though that like half the light is gone. It made its escape, and then the scientists and Black Beetle made their escape. But they won. Calder and Artemis no longer have to be on deep cover, which is great.
Mhm.
Uh, Beast Boy gets like his one line the episode where he's just so glad that Artemis isn't actually dead, and he tells Nightwing that he's not allowed to fake anybody's deaths for at least a year.
I like how
Right?
you're specific. It wasn't like you can't do this anymore, because I think deep down Beast Boy understood that there was a purpose to this, but he's like, I can't handle it right away.
It's also probably Garfield's best line in the entire series so far.
And I mean, we can talk about how this might be a little bit of foreshadowing too on Garfield's part. Not getting into it because that's the next episode, but
yeah.
I
So
didn't think about it like that until just now. My bad.
so then we get to the end of the episode. They're in the it's Nightwing and Aqualad in the Watchtower. And they're discussing like, okay, you're back. I'm officially giving the leadership of the team back to you. I'm done being leader. I'm backing off. I'm good. They're like, and then what are we? It's like, what's going on? But also in this entire time, they see the War World leave. So it's like, oh, that might be an issue.
I like how they nailed down that aspect of Dick Grayson, that he's a capable leader. He can do it, but he prefers not to.
Especially after the first season when he really wanted to be the leader. He was like, wait, why am I not the leader? Et cetera, et cetera.
And then once again going back to Failsafe, where he got to be the leader, and he feels like he absolutely messed that up. I still hold by the fact that Failsafe is a super important episode, despite the fact that it's a simulation the entire time.
Hey man, life's a simulation.
All right.
You can't reset it.
But it seems like a good victory, but there's still an episode left, guys. It's time. It's time for the Reach's Endgame. In episode 20, Endgame. So episode basically just starts off with, the remaining members of the Reach. They're on their ship. They're like, okay, well, what do we do now? Oh, well, we have the Green Lanterns. Will make their return soon. So there's only one thing we could do. We have to eliminate all the evidence of our tampering with this planet. We have to destroy it. So they set up their end game, which is to destroy the Earth, and they essentially get attacked at one point by Blue Beetle, Green Beetle, and Aqualad. Oh, Joe thinks he's frozen. Yeah, Joe, I think you're frozen.
He looks beautiful though.
Yeah. Joe is frozen. Yeah, I think you're frozen. Oh, there we go.
And he's in the past.
Okay, now I think you're just in the past.
No, I'm maybe catching up, but yeah.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So it's Blue Beetle.
I think that's Eric this time.
Oh, thank God! I thought it was me.
Because I was like, oh wait, I hear Joe. So we're doing the last episode.
Right.
I'm just waiting for Eric to catch back up.
Hopefully.
Hi everybody.
On the YouTube thing, it's just his little icon.
Oh, I see him just smirking.
I only see you.
Hey. Well, while he's catching up, so what did you think all in all about like how the long game trader aspect story of the show?
All right, there we go. Okay, I'm back.
Oh, there he is.
That's like
The long game trader part, loved it.
I crashed for a second. All right.
Yeah, there's two of you on my screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna
double the Hat Boy.
Yeah, I'm trying to. There we go.
Oh no,
I'm gone. All right, so it's Blue Beetle, Green Beetle, and Aqualad invading the Reach ship, and it's it's this whole thing. Because they're like, they attack. Green Beetle's like, I'm gonna try to reset your Scarab and free you, and the Black Beetle's like, freedom is overrated, and then he just essentially sends energy back and destroys Green Beetle's Scarab.
Yeah,
which is just like, damn.
Which scared me a lot.
Now I think Tom's frozen.
No, I'm
or
here.
No,
My
he's just not
audio
moving.
keeps dipping out.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
my
No, Tom was just not
computer.
moving.
It's like, whoop. It's
Okay.
All
right. So
yes, I didn't hear any of that.
yeah, they destroy. Black Beetle destroys Green Beetle's beetle.
Yep, I did it again.
Oh, all right. So
freedom was overrated.
Freedom is overrated. Black Beetle destroys Green Beetle's beetle, and it's like that should have killed him, but he just barely survives it.
Which called the next part after we talk about the very next part.
Yeah,
calls back to something I enjoyed.
Yeah, so it's like they continue the fight. What'd you say?
I thought Martians just have a better regen skill, and that's why it doesn't hurt
Martians.
Yeah, it destroys the beetle, and Black Beetle even makes a point of saying, like, that's why I hate Martians. Regular meat would have died from that, but you'll just be out for a while.
Unconscious.
Yeah.
So he tries to do the same thing with Blue, but then it's like Blue Beetle's like will overpowers him, and then he's just like, no. Here. It's like now we're fighting as one. The Scarab and the Blue Beetle fighting. Scarab and Jaime fighting as one. They are able to overtake the energy that he's sending in, and they destroy Black Beetle's beetle, and that gets incinerated. But in doing so,
brings me to the Scarab has become one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
because when Jaime got freed previously. Which I love the whole episode in the past where they were talking about where the Scarab was still in control, but you could hear Jaime's thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was great.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
Nice turnabout. But I really enjoyed the whole commentary that he makes is like, look, if this is the only thing you take away from your time with me, then you've learned nothing. And how the Scarab brings that right back around.
Yes. No, and another thing that, like a tiny detail of that episode, just to talk about that episode real quick, it's like to show that the Scarab doesn't like being under control of the Reach. It's like when he's beating on Rocket's force bubble thing.
Yeah,
and it's like, and the Reach ambassador's like, the Scarab should know that would be ineffectual. Why is he still attacking? It's because he wants to be captured.
Yep. But he's got to do what he has to do, so to speak.
Yeah. So continuing with this episode, Jaime, when the destruction of Black Beetle's beetle, Scarab, finds out that they have an end game. There's a whole bunch of magnetic disruptors strewn across the world, and they're still shorthanded because everybody's still. There's also a whole bunch of people that need to help people that are being, put out of place because this is like the day after tomorrow levels of worldwide weather disasters. So there's only about 40 people that they can scrounge up to take out 20 of these things, and to do so, they get the help reluctantly by Lex Luthor, which is an interesting thought that he's like, yeah, I've just been developing this anti-Reach software because this has totally been our plan the entire time, except for maybe the world-ending part of it. So
I almost would argue that this was their plan the entire time, was to get the League to get rid of the Reach once they had accomplished their goal.
Right.
I actually was under the impression the plan was to get Warworld there.
Yeah, well, that is definitely part of the plan, and we'll get into that at the end of the episode. But they have this whole thing where now there's a whole bunch of magnetic disrupting machines all across the world, and they have to get everybody together. There's a part that I need to talk about first, because I just realized that this does take place. There's a scene that does take place before they have to, take off these machines, and that's Superboy and Miss Martian making it to Rimbor to present the evidence that Aqualad had acquired to exonerate the remaining members of the Justice League, which they initially have some issue with, because all that judge wants is some more. All they want is some more bribes, which is what they're used to. So, then McGann and Superboy just sort of adjust themselves. They're like, "All right, here's what we got to do. We got to say, hey, this is what we can offer. If you free the Justice League, how many more people will bring their disputes to this court?" Which somehow works. It's some very odd logic, but I guess it works. But
I love their wording too. How they word it. They're like, they'll bring more cases that will bring more.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, Tom had muted you before because we're getting crazy echo from your speakers.
That's weird. That doesn't happen very often. Let me pull this over here.
That should probably help.
How's that?
Oh, much better. All right, so we're McGann and Superboy make it back to Earth because they have to help with the whole world ending. The remaining members of the Justice League kind of are still stuck behind. Also, there's this whole scene in the crowd of the trial where it's like you see Hawkman in the crowd and he sticks out like a sore thumb. It's just I had to point that out.
I've never been a fan of Hawkman, and he just looks so dumb.
He does look very dumb.
Like when he's in the hallway later with her, and his wings take up like half the hallway. It's like there's no reason for that.
Yeah,
that is.
I mean, he does have a good role in Dark Knight's Metal right now.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because the Nth Metal thing. I have to catch up on.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. Then if you haven't seen where they've taken this character now, so it's pretty cool. So, so all the teams like get together. They have 20 squads, so they have every letter from Alpha to Omega for squads, and Omega team being Artemis and Wally, and they get to stop one of the machines that happens to be underneath the Eiffel Tower.
It's not just that. There's this rousing speech by Lex Luthor. Promoting them to do this. That is like if you didn't know Lex Luthor and probably what he's got up his sleeve.
Oh yeah.
In general, whatever it is up his sleeve, because it's Lex Luthor, then it'd be almost inspiring.
Yeah. And of course we find out what he might possibly be leading to at the end of the episode, but
I think if not for Superman, Lex Luthor would be a good guy. It's Superman who makes him feel inferior and that he needs to, but he also drives him. So,
but at the same time, if it wasn't Superman, it'd be somebody else.
You're not wrong. Eventually, yeah.
It's like if it's not Superman, it'd be Martian Manhunter.
The thing is, like, it may not be Superman's fault either entirely, because if Lex Luthor has the capacity to do this, then he's got the capacity to do it, just maybe without all the mad science.
When I was thinking that, I was thinking like old school comic book origins, when like the reason Lex Luthor lost his hair was because Superboy used his breath to clear out fumes from a laboratory, and that's why he was the bad guy. So obviously this is not canon.
That's not canon anymore. No, that I think anything post crisis that doesn't exist. So anyway, Tom's not happy. So we got It's like we got a whole bunch of teams. It's like we also get Black Lightning and Static teaming up, and Static showing his proficiency with his powers. Black Lightning offers to be his mentor, which I think is something that they touched upon in New 52. I think a bit.
Black Lightning is the most boring character. I don't care. I don't care.
I mean, his show on CW is actually pretty good right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'll look.
It's very Luke Cagey.
I knew it was just gonna be a Luke Cage ripoff. That's why
I mean,
so mad.
I mean,
the character Black Lightning is a Luke Cage ripoff essentially.
I mean, yeah, but it's a different spin on Luke Cage.
You know, because he has a lightning powers.
Well, that's different spin also. There's more to it than that. I just don't want to get into it. But
I mean, Arrow is just Batman for the CW.
Arrow is just Batman.
Oh yeah, he even takes on Batman's villains. Remember Firefly?
Anyway.
Little tattoo of Firefly.
I feel like though DC villains tend to bleed over with each other with some exceptions. Like Mr. Freeze and Penguin and Joker are firmly Batman, but you'll often find some of the other villains going to other cities because they're like, I'm tired of dealing with superhero X. I'm going to go to this city where I won't have to deal with that superhero. And they just have to deal with the other superhero.
Yeah. It's like, we get that a lot, especially in like animated stuff, but that also just usually leads to crossovers.
Yeah.
So, at least CW has gotten that correct because Marvel's television for the crossover stuff, with the exception of some of the Netflix stuff, is garbage compared to the CW stuff. Like that's one aspect where they shine is their crossovers.
I mean, you don't like just randomly having Kobe Smulders, pop up on a screen on a screen and talking to Coulson like right before Age of Ultron.
The worst thing they did was
that was a legit crossover that they had.
The worst thing they did,
or the point where they said,
"Oh no, I lost the thought." Never mind. It's gone.
You're talking about Lady Sif in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, the worst thing they did was Nick Fury because that raised the bar so high. They're like, oh, if they can get Samuel L. Jackson in on here, they can get anybody.
It's like the worst part is they got Nick Fury episode 2.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
for a scene, but then he like had a bigger role towards the end because that's when he officially gives the role of director of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Phil Coulson. Yeah, but that's that's a completely different. That's a completely different show about a completely different. That we're off topic a lot. We got to talk about there's more pairings. There's like there's like the obvious pairing of Impulse and Blue Beetle. But anyway, they all take down their stuff, but then they find that they missed one. There's one in the Arctic that was obscured by the Earth's north magnetic pole. As opposed to the magnetic North Pole, which is in Antarctica. So they're like, okay, so there's no Zeta tubes there, so there's only a couple people that can make it there on time, and that's the Flash and Impulse. So they go running off, but by the time that they get there, they're too late. It's already gone chrysalis, which means that it's about to start ending the world. So then that's when they start talking to Lex. They're like, okay, well, what do we do? And Lex is like, you run. I'm not. And then Flash's like, I'm not a coward here. And then it's like, I didn't say run away. I said run. And of course, you gotta do the Flash thing. You gotta run around it a lot, and that'll stop it. Yeah. So it'll use your kinetic energy to negate the chrysalis's energy.
Nobody else could have done anything.
No,
Captain
honestly,
Adam couldn't have done anything.
Captain Adam, I think, was busy at this point. He was.
What about Rocket? Couldn't she have just cocooned it in a kinetic bubble?
I don't think that the bubble actually would have done anything because the bubble only stops kinetic attacks. and this obviously was not any form of kinetic energy. That they were using kinetic energy to take it down, but the bubble actually has no effect from like beams or sonics or anything
Where's
like
Zatanna?
that. It's only physical attacks that it can stop. That they made that abundantly clear over the course of the series that that's all that does. So
where's
the
Cap Dr. Fate? I mean, he stopped that one time.
I'm just like I said, all their heavy hitters were out saving people. Also Green Arrow was saving people. All their heavy hitters and Green Arrow were saving people.
Obviously, I'm just mad about what we're about to discuss.
Yeah. So Artemis asks Wally if he thinks that'll be enough, and then of course we hear recognize Kid Flash B03, and he heads off to the chrysalis as well.
Yep.
And it's important to note
Zetaing to the closest place possible to get there.
Yeah, obviously. So it's very clear that just Flash and Impulse together would not have stopped it, because Flash goes out of his way to say the energy is slowing, but it's not stopping. Even at our top speed, I don't think we'll be able to stop this. Which is when, of course, Wally comes in.
Right.
And yeah.
Is that how that works? Like scientifically, like if more speed isn't doing it, is adding a slightly less speed going to do it?
Well, it's
something to compensate.
It's essentially
or something. They tried to.
I know. I'm overthinking it because it's superhero physics with laser cannons and
it's
science magic, and
it's the way I see it is that kinetic energy. It's he's adding more mass to the kinetic energy formula essentially, because he could still contribute enough speed to be useful, but they're at their top speed that wouldn't create enough energy. But his added mass and despite his slightly slower speed,
I got that's what it was for. It just seemed like a excuse. I have problems. So, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, but it's like it starts working, but unfortunately, as the Scarab puts it, Kid Flash's slower speed makes himself become an exit valve with the Chrysalis's energy, and it literally just starts attacking him. And by the time that Flash and Impulse realize this, they're like, "We got to slow down. We got to siphon off some of this energy that's attacking Wally." And then just one last hit from the energy. It's like Wally's like, "It's no good, Barry. It's already too late for me." And then he has this whole speech that I literally can't get through without tearing up at this point, because like every single time, because you guys know from episode 1, I laid out Wally West is my favorite character on this show, maybe even my favorite superhero, period. And this scene, every time I see it, I can't help but tear up. I know it's coming, but
it's when Artemis realizes what's going on, because they finally, after all that time, she had to go undercover, and
they only had like a day together before. This happened.
It's just tragic.
At least they got to go to Paris together, though.
Yeah, they got to go to Paris. They got to go to Paris. But
Wally's fate is a prime example of life comes at you fast.
Life literally comes at you fast. So they're able to stop the chrysalis. Impulse and Flash, they slow down. They sort of collapse after all the effort that they put in. Because honestly, Wally, that's like, from how drained they were by the end of it, there's no way that Wally helping was useless. Yeah. So, it is clear to me that Wally didn't sacrifice himself for nothing. That's the point. But
Wally's not dead.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll get into that, because that might have been the thing that I've been teasing as a video for weeks at this point. But
oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's like we get to we get everybody's like, you did it, great job. Then Artemis is like, wait, where's Wally? And of course Wally's last words were, just tell them, okay. Which is like every time it's like he says, just tell them, okay, and then he
Yeah,
and it's just like
sucked. I teared up.
it is. Yeah, so it's like that happens. Everybody sort of reconvenes, and then of course the League makes its way back to Mount Justice in a Green Lantern rocket.
I love Superman's line. He's like, "Are we too late?" And I'm like, Superman, there's people alive. You can hear them all.
But
the heartbeat. You can hear like them crying at the South Pole right now. Okay.
Yeah. But what actually leads is probably one of the greatest possible callbacks that ever could have existed in the show. A callback to the end of episode 2, where essentially it's a role reversal, where it's the Justice League standing out there, and then it's the team all flying down to meet the Justice League, and it's probably one of the best possible callbacks ever. The show is brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
It's so good. It's so good. It's like they all come down, and it's like, and they talk about how the world was saved, but at a terrible cost. And of course it goes to Artemis going to Wally's house, meaning her parents, and just
rough
crying. They know immediately what happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like, oh. And then of course we now have to fast forward 2 weeks later to end on Independence Day, because that's where the show starts. Which they have the whole thing. It's Independence Day on the Watchtower. I skipped over something. I forget. As the League was leaving Rimbor, Vandal Savage rolled up in the War World saying, "Yo, don't attack Earth. We have the War World now, bitch." Well, not in those words exactly, but that's pretty much what he said.
And then drives it to Apocalypse.
He drives it to Apocalypse by the end of the episode, but we'll get to that.
Oh, aren't we at the end?
There's still with that scene.
That's
the animated series equivalent of the after credits scene.
Yeah, but it's the end of the episode, but we still have a whole bunch of other things to talk about. And like, Static officially joins the team. Tim and Cassie are now together for whatever reason.
I like that they're standing in front of. It looks like Jason Todd's.
Yeah, they're definitely standing in front of Jason's grave. Yes, that was always there from. It was always weird. There. Tim's always been right by it every time they have a grave scene. He's always looking at Jason's grave.
I like
They do imply that Jason did exist in this universe.
Yeah. Cool.
And of course Impulse staring at Wally's grave because he can't. He's like.
Well, and he's not Impulse anymore.
Well, yeah. Bart is staring at his grave now in Wally's costume. It looks kind of weird on him.
It's weird because of the hair.
Yeah, and in the images for season 3, he's got new costume, new haircut. But I kind of would have preferred him to just have a different haircut, same costume, because I've said multiple times I love this Kid Flash costume.
Yeah, it could be like a Miles Morales thing though, where it's like, at one point, am I honoring or like falsely presenting? That is a good point. That is a good point. But it's like he has a conversation with Artemis, who's like, so that she's now suited up as Tigress, but as a blonde.
Her reason is sound that Artemis was Wally's partner, and she doesn't feel right being Artemis. And I'm like, that's fair.
That is very fair. Very fair. She can't. I honestly don't blame you.
I'm only saying this.
I'm
saying this mildly sarcastically, but she can't even right now.
She can't even right now. No, she.
I also think it's interesting because you guys brought up Tim, right? whichever one is currently actual Robin.
Yeah.
Well, current Robin
and
oh wait,
Wonder Girl.
Yeah.
I don't. She was, again. It's one of these characters, and it's going to go to my one complaint about this season.
Mm-hmm.
But that they're together, which is a really nice analog for Justice League Unlimited, that Batman and Wonder Woman were a thing in that series.
Also, there is some history to those two characters in the comic as well.
I'm sure,
but yeah,
there's history to all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's the thing about a show like this, is just one big like, hey, remember that from the comics? Not in a bad way, because some of this is plot lines that people that may not know as much about the comics may not be introduced to, and it's a good way to do that.
I mean, if there's any two characters that actually had no history in the comics, it's Artemis and Wally.
they're the best one relationship on the show.
Yeah,
yeah,
because they got they got to do whatever they wanted, and it worked. So, and like they got that. They officially now operate out of the Watchtower because they earned it, not because Mount Justice was destroyed. They go out of the way. It's like, it's not because Mount Justice is destroyed. We promise you. You guys earned this shit. You saved the world multiple times.
It's nice coming from Bruce Wayne. I mean, they don't know it's Bruce Wayne, but for the audience, because it's like, all right, well, at least if they hadn't earned it, Bruce Wayne could have totally got them another base. Like,
that is true.
It's funny that he's the one saying this, and like, I really just want half of them to go like, have you guys earned the right to still be here?
But also at the same time, Captain Atom turns over leadership of the League to Black Canary.
Right after probably the most important scene of this, where it's G. Gordon Godfrey announcing that he thinks that the next candidate to replace UN Secretary General Sang would be Lex Luthor, which obviously Superman's response to this is it's one of those rare moments of Superman that I love because it shows his humanity and his personality, where it's like this look of like, oh my god, just drops on his face. He's like, you have got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and of course this is all probably set up to President Luthor, which might be a direction they're going in season 3.
It's kind of a weird direction to jump around for it too. Like, if you think about it, he went like, I know the UN is a different beast entirely, but like going from like Secretary General of the UN to just the president of one country.
Well, it's an open door. It's a doorway. It's something that he could.
I know. I think it's a funny concept.
It's a funny concept, but I think it's a better concept than him just going right to president.
Well, I think Superman also is like, oh wait, this guy is going to be the guy in charge of aliens.
After we know he's a part of the light, and Vandal Savage has Warworld floating around space.
Yeah. And then of course we get a reason why, because at the end of the episode, it's like we opened in Apocalypse, and of course he's standing there, but G. Gordon Godfrey, he's officially a member of the Light. If you didn't know,
yeah, he probably was all along. I kind of had the feeling that maybe he was like a plant type situation.
Yeah. Well, I remember. I don't know if you remember, Joe, but I think it was the Hector fight on Fan Friction. I wanted Gilbert God. I wanted him to be
Gordon Godfrey.
I want to call him Gilbert Godfrey every time. Gordon Godfrey.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry's amazing. I pitched him to be a villain in the DCEU now because I think nobody would have thought out of anywhere that he was working for Apocalypse. Like I knew going in, but he did such a good job. I love that storyline on itself.
Thus adding to the layer cake of the long game that is
the Light's plan.
The Light's plan. That I'm pretty sure half the Light doesn't even know about. It's just what's his face.
It's just Vandal Savage.
It's just Vandal Savage.
Just that handshake between Vandal and
like old friends.
Like old friends. Also, one thing we didn't point out: Nightwing's taking a leave of absence because he also can't even because Wally's dead.
Yeah, and
he's probably
came back, man.
he's both exhausted from being leader for, I think, according to Young Justice Legacy, he was leader for about almost 2 years.
Oh, 2, wow.
Yeah,
So what? He's just going to let Calder take up that responsibility and be leader for like 5 and show him up.
Yeah, because Young Justice Legacy takes place about 8 months before. No, sorry, about 10 months before season 2 picks up.
Yeah.
So
I kind of wish he
there's
said something. I kind of wish Nightwing was more like, because I mean, Batman's been gone for how long now? Gotham has to be like the underbelly is ready to pop. So I wish Nightwing was like, I need to help Bruce clean up Gotham. Looks like I'm still a sidekick after. You know what I mean? Some kind of thing where he's like, after this long journey, I'm gonna go back to helping the dude. You know what I mean? So it kind of felt.
I have a strong feeling that that's what he's gonna go do. Not necessarily fight alongside Bruce, but just go basically fight crime in Gotham.
Yeah, but he needs some time because his best friend of probably like 8 years at this point just
it's not just
got
that
evaporated.
This has been a rough few months for him.
Yeah, it really has. Like he probably had a whole bunch of plans of how he was going to make this up to Wally and Artemis, and then that happened, and he lost Wally on these terms, and it's just like that's got to be eating up at him hard.
And they were the only two who knew each other before any of this, right? Wally and
that's like
and
he's
fake.
That's like he is of them. He is the first one to actually know his secret identity, even though he played it up that nobody knows his secret identity. Nobody knows it. He knew it the entire time. It's like there's no question he knew it the entire time. But that's.
I do have an issue with how this ends, slightly.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah. So let it out, Joe.
So, from a writing standpoint, this is my issue. That Wally has been a sidelined character that has had maybe an episode's worth of just being able to see him this whole season. Yeah. And yeah, it's important because of his role in the conspiracy of the team and that kind of stuff. But there's no real development from Wally, so we're literally running off of Wally as a character from last season. The biggest development we have is that he now lives with Artemis and they've retired. And that's it. But there's no growth as a character. There's nothing. We've had more growth from Nightwing in this season, I think, than we did from Robin in the previous season. Because we've had to see him deal with some very real problems. Then for Wally to be the one that dies at the end feels hollow to me.
Here's the issue. Here's the issue. There's no such thing as death for a speedster. That's
I'm sure
that's been absolutely said. Also, Joe, I need to elaborate something. When this show had finished, they did not expect to be canceled.
Yeah. No, I thought season 3 was going to be Wally's season. I thought he was going to come back.
It's like, and of course, as what I've been talking
about. As a side note, that undercuts the drama of the situation.
It undercuts the drama of the situation, but I have it's like I pretty much every question that anybody's ever had over these past 5 years about Young Justice was, how were you going to bring Wally back? Because everybody needs to know. And the next video that I'm going to do relating to Young Justice is my episodes long pitch of how to bring back Wally. Like, it's not just a episode, it is bits and pieces of that leading up into about a 2-episode mega story of how Wally comes back into the fold. So that'll be my next episode, my next video on Young Justice, because I've got big plans of how to bring back Wally and not just make it, an instant we're resetting, and I got long explanations of what actually happened, and I'm not going for the he just went into the Speed Force argument, because they had said that there's no Speed Force in this universe, and I'm gonna try to stick to that. So I have an actual explanation of how Wally actually manages to survive and where he's been this entire time. And I've
That's-
got stuff to say.
I think
That's
that
all
the
well
writers
and
on
good.
this.
What? What'd you say, Tom?
I said I think the writers on this show are capable, and I think they want you to think he's dead so bad. They make him go into retire. It's the classic cliche of, oh, we're gonna retire, and then he dies. Like there's no way that they're gonna let that one go under the radar without like an alternative
Then,
motive.
like I said, that undercuts the drama of the situation. I'm not against loss as a character trope as used in a story, especially a superhero story. But that shouldn't be reserved for like a Robin, basically. It shouldn't be that Robins are the ones that stay dead. It should be, and like it's half the time they don't even do that. So it's a frustrating concept that the only one in this
bring it up
entire
with Death
season,
of Superman. It's all Death of Superman's fault, man.
For me, it's really frustrating that in this entire story arc, the only character that can, of any substance or consequence, that can literally die and stay dead is Ra's al Ghul, because he doesn't actually stay dead. He's the only one that can die in this whole series.
That's comic books. Like that's every comic book thing ever, except for Nolan.
But
except that's still not.
Again, I'm approaching this, and I know about comics. I know that's the thing, but I had brought up that like not everyone watching this show is. Yeah, I remember like back when Batman the animated series came out, that was my major introduction to Batman, and I got into comics because of that animated series. So
and characters died came back on that though.
What?
Characters dying came back on that.
Sure, but I'm using this as an example. This is just relying on the same tropes of storytelling and not evolving as an art film.
I mean, that is fair. That is fair. But it's like I at no point believe that they had intended to it's like go through that entire thing of having Wally sort of take a backseat and die without having a story for that in the next season. Like Tom said, they had a plan that they couldn't execute on because they got canceled.
And even then, so I felt it would have had more weight if he had a bigger role in this season, only to die and then eventually come back. Because then you really, because there's like half the time I forget Wally's even in this season.
Yeah,
because there's like 6 episodes between when he shows up again.
That is a definite issue because of the fact that there's just so many characters in season 2. It's like you could go. It's like Wally's not the only one that gets that treatment. Lagan gets that treatment.
Batgirl and
Batgirl gets that treatment.
Except for,
Wonder Girl gets that treatment. Garfield gets that treatment. It's like they all go so many episodes. They all are very important in like the first couple episodes, and they're gone for the middle of the season.
But that leads into a complaint I have about my second complaint, my only other complaint, really. But what were you going to say, Tom?
I was going to say the reason we didn't have Wally in the beginning is because they faked Artemis's death, and it was servicing his character in that aspect where he had to mourn and stuff like that. It doesn't make what he felt any less real, or her death any less necessary. So by saying that it's going to make Wally's death unnecessary, I just don't follow you. Like it's
for me, it's the fact that I'm trying to look at this from the point of view of an average viewer, not someone that actually invests themselves fully in these characters from season 1.
I could see somebody who's not a comic book viewer watching Arrow, but I can't see somebody who's never like read one thing about a comic book watching Young Justice and being into it. It's an animated thing.
Yeah, it's like it's the whole thing. It's like Teen Titans was very accessible. Young Justice is, in my opinion, a better show, but it's less accessible. Does that make sense?
I put it somewhere between Teen Titans and Justice League Unlimited, because it's kind of what it is. It's that happy medium between the two of them, because it's about these kids and they're dealing with very real problems and problems kids deal with. At the same time, there's like 40 of them, and it's exhausting. With Unlimited. With Unlimited, we don't have to have all this emotional investment in these characters. So because half the time they're just like a throwaway character trope, like the gunslinger dude or whatever. Like the Question is arguably the one main character we have of Unlimited because he's in it the most.
Yeah, and the question in his whole arcs there are pretty good.
What I was
I
getting
agree.
at is with these characters where this story isn't just about superhero antics, but it's about like emotion and these people like developing as human beings on top of developing as superheroes. And we only get like 3 episodes a season with some of these characters in the second season.
Yeah, but also to be fair, Wally is probably in one of the best episodes of the season, Bloodlines.
He's in all of the best episodes of the season. But
he is.
his development of the character is basically like, oh, I suck.
Yeah.
Real people think that.
What?
I said real people think that.
But then there's no payoff for it. His death is literally
also,
because he
but
sucks.
Also, I'm pretty sure part of their plan was his death also increases his speed.
Yeah, oh yeah, because the whole point
probably
was that he wasn't fast enough.
I'm pretty sure that was the point of him dying was to get his speed back up to speed.
Because we already know that kid for
Impulse.
Impulse.
Bart is faster. Bart was faster than him. It wasn't an age thing that made him slower.
We know Bart thinks that Wally's faster than he is when he first meets him. Remember, he's so surprised that Wally can't keep up and stuff. Maybe it's because he knows in the future Wally is faster.
But that's a completely different Wally at this point.
Yeah, that is completely different Wally. And like I said previously, in the timeline where Barry dies, Wally definitely becomes the Flash, and he goes down a completely different path.
So it's just, it feels like it's undercut to me. Like it's not as impactful as it should be. I care personally because I am invested in the character, because I know the character super well. But not everyone can do that. And while that is fine for shows that for us to be passionate about because we keep up with them, if the show isn't accessible, that's part of the reason it fails. And this kind of storytelling is probably part of the reason it failed. The first season was really good. It had rave reviews.
Yeah.
Second season kind of tapered off and no one cared as much.
Yeah, but also part of that was them shoving it into Saturday mornings when when the people that were actually watching the show were not watching television. They put it as a pairing with the Green Lantern animated series, and essentially put those both out to pasture by putting them airing them on Saturday mornings when no teenager was watching television. So it was a fail on multiple accounts. Also, the thing that you gotta keep in mind is that 5 years ago, Wally West had essentially been deleted from the comics landscape. Not even the mixed race Wally West was even in the comics at this point. He was just gone because of New 52. This was literally the only Wally that we had left. The one thing keeping this character alive, and he had just died, and it meant something, especially because about a week before this finale, they had announced that the show was canceled.
Yeah,
it was literally like a week or two before the finale aired.
Look, man, the timing's perfect. Did they do the Wally story from Rebirth? I'm down.
Yeah. The DC Universe Rebirth probably laid out a great map to bring him back. It's
oh yeah, especially the team dynamics and stuff.
Yeah. I'll definitely get into this in my how to bring back Wally West video. When I get through that, because I got a lot to unpack, and it's actually probably going to be my first actual scripted video. So it's not just going to be me talking off the cuff. I will have written out my opinions beforehand, and we'll be talking them. So, Joe, you've definitely unpacked your final thoughts on this season. Tom, you've definitely unpacked your thoughts on the Beetleborg saga.
I just wanted to say, though, I did actually love this season. I had some pretty complaints about it, but I loved this season. My complaints purely came from a critical analysis standpoint.
Yeah. No, I get you. Honestly, it's like we don't get a lot of the characters that we love from season 1, but we do get a lot of characters we love in this season, like Impulse and Blue Beetle and their whole dynamic. It's just they are effectively the main characters of this season.
Right.
But even at the same time, we still get a lot of time with Gan. We still get a decent amount of time with Superboy. You know, we get a whole lot, like you guys said. Nightwing gets so much development this season. It's just Artemis and Wally that kind of get the short end of the stick for a good portion of the season. And Calder, man, Calder had a whole lot this season with his father.
I actually felt Artemis was utilized really well.
She was utilized really well, especially in the McGann is captured episodes.
Yeah. But anywho, Tom, what were your thoughts?
In the season in general, or just
in season in general? Season in general. You're just doing a series wrap up at this point.
I mean, they successfully wrapped up everything they threw out in season 1, but I almost have to say season 1 is better because they laid those points out in the beginning. I think a lot of this stuff, even this Wally not really dying theory that we have, I think you're already bringing up a bunch of different parallels to Failsafe. I think that could be if he's teleported or somewhere else, and that it could be another really cool mirror to it. But I don't think without that foundation from season 1, but it's still enjoyable. I'm really looking forward to season 3. I want to see Static. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about speculation in the future.
But yeah, it's definitely a part of what the Scarab had said. Definitely opens this up. He says that the Kid Flash will cease, and he doesn't really elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, he's
cease what?
That might be his way of saying dying.
Yes. No, because he uses other words to describe dying as like a special. I do believe he uses the word kill in when they're carting him off the temple.
Kill involves intent. It's all specific, precise word usage. And yes, cease means he's probably not dead. He just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
not on this plane of existence.
Yeah,
it could apply somewhere else.
Yeah, I will get into what I think in that video. Like I said, I got a lot, and it's spanning multiple episodes. So I ain't just letting this thing drop, and it's like, oh, Wally's back. I ain't doing that shit.
My theory is, even though they've said the Speed Force doesn't exist in this universe, it does in the multiverse. Yeah. So maybe Wally just got shoved into some world with the Speed Force.
Yeah, I mean that is a theory. That is a theory.
Or they discover this, maybe they don't know what it is until now or something. I don't know.
As long as you're not talking, Wally's the one to discover the Speed Force.
Yeah. I mean, because technically, I do believe in the comics, Wally is the one to discover the Speed Force, but but yeah. Anyway, this has gone on for an hour and 15 minutes, so I think it's about time to end the episode, guys. As you can tell, we all love this series a lot, and I'm so excited that it's coming back. Not entirely sure about some of the new redesigns, but I'll definitely probably touch on that in the break between these seasons. But that's the finale of Just Whelmed Noted, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. I know the three of us have. And see you when I post this the follow-up to this in Still Whelmed. Probably the one series name that I am the most proud of, Still Whelmed. See you guys. Yeah.